Beloved chosen one, stop scrolling. Heaven has paused everything around you to whisper directly into your spirit. This Sunday, divine wealth is chasing you. Stop running. You have felt the tug for weeks, maybe months. That strange pull between surrender and hesitation. You have seen signs repeating, doors opening and closing with divine rhythm. It is not coincidence. It is divine choreography. God has set an appointment with you this very moment, and the message is clear. You are no longer the one searching for favor. Favor is searching for you. Listen carefully. You've spent seasons thinking you needed to hustle harder, pray longer, or somehow prove yourself worthy of God's blessing. But heaven is saying, you were never meant to chase what was assigned to chase you. The blessing is not lost. It knows your scent, your voice, your walk. Every act of obedience, every tear shed in quiet surrender has become a divine GPS guiding wealth straight to your doorstep. For too long, you have confused humility with self-sabotage. You've mistaken delay for denial. But God is rewriting that story today. You will no longer apologize for being chosen. You will no longer downplay your anointing to make others comfortable. Divine wealth, spiritual, emotional, and material, is drawn to alignment, not arrogance. When you walk in purpose, resources recognize you. They rise and bow to the authority stamped on your spirit. Chosen one, the Spirit of the Lord says, stop running from what was ordained to run toward you. You have been marked for multiplication, not misery. Every resource you thought you lost was merely being prepared for the right season. That season begins this Sunday, the same way the prodigal son finally turned toward home. Heaven is calling you to turn toward abundance, not away from it. Your hesitation has delayed miracles. Your obedience will unlock them. You see, divine wealth doesn't mean piles of gold or fleeting luxury. It means divine supply meeting divine purpose. God doesn't fund greed. He funds mission. And your mission, chosen one, is entering its funded stage. Every good work He began in you will now receive what it needs to flourish. You will build, create, and bless in ways that make heaven smile. This message is not random, it's surgical. It found you because you were about to give up, about to settle, about to shrink again. But God says, no. This Sunday is not a day of routine. It's a day of reversal. Everything that ran from you before will now return sevenfold. Every seed that seemed forgotten will burst forth in due time. You are stepping into a wealth that does not corrupt, it cleanses. It will not inflate your ego. It will expand your assignment. You are not being spoiled. You are being sponsored by heaven. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, book of 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. You have been weary. Haven't you trying to hold it together while waiting for breakthrough, watching others rise while you stood in silence? But God never forgot you. You were in training, not punishment. Every silent night prepared your voice for this moment of divine announcement. You are about to soar, not crawl. And as you rise, divine wealth favor, ideas, divine connections, and provision will chase you down like eagles carried by wind. You won't need to strive for it. You will simply align with it. Remember this: the waiting season was not wasted. Heaven used every moment of stillness to stretch your faith and sharpen your discernment. The delays were divine filters, keeping counterfeit blessings from reaching your hands too soon. What you thought was rejection was really redirection, leading you toward resources that cannot be stolen. God was not denying you, He was preparing you to carry what is now coming with both humility and authority. This Sunday, you will feel a stillness come over you, a whisper in your spirit saying, "It's time." Don't ignore it, don't scroll past it. When that whisper comes, stand still, lift your hands, and say, "I receive it." That simple declaration will open the gates of heaven over your life. The angels of provision have been waiting for your yes. Now, if this word finds your spirit burning, let it be known that you are not hearing by chance, you are hearing by calling. This message is your confirmation that divine wealth has already spotted you in the crowd. You are seen. You are chosen. You are next. Here is what you must do. Chosen one. Like this message if it stirred your spirit, and share it so others marked for abundance may awaken. Subscribe, because this flow of divine revelation will not stop, it will only grow stronger. And finally, as an act of prophetic agreement, type this number in the comments, 7711. It is the seal of completion and divine alignment. When you do, you are declaring to heaven and earth, "I stop running. I turn toward what God has already ordained for me." You are not chasing wealth anymore. Wealth is chasing you, and this Sunday it catches up. You stand there, chosen one, still trembling beneath the weight of the message that found you. For a moment, everything is silent. The noise of the world fades into the background, and your heart beats in rhythm with heaven's pulse. You finally see it, the truth you had been avoiding all along. You were not running from lack. You were running from abundance. You feared what divine wealth would demand from you once it arrived. You feared responsibility, exposure, expectation. Yet heaven whispers again, "Stop running." You ran because you believed wealth would change you. But divine wealth does not corrupt. It clarifies. It reveals what already lives inside the heart. When greed holds it, it becomes a chain. When grace holds it, it becomes a tool. The Spirit reminds you now what you carry within is not selfish ambition, it is divine stewardship. The blessing that is chasing you is not coming to make you famous, but to make God's name known through your life. Think about the years you spent shrinking, telling yourself that you didn't need more. You convinced yourself that comfort was contentment, that mediocrity was modesty. But deep down, you knew that something holy was being silenced inside you. You knew that your spirit was made for expansion, not containment. The kingdom cannot advance through those who hide. It moves through those who say, "Here I am. Lord, use me," even when their hands are trembling. Heaven has been watching your hesitation. The angels saw the moments you almost stepped out, those times when a door opened and you walked away because it felt too big. But what if those opportunities were never too big? What if you were simply too afraid to believe you could carry what God already assigned to you? Divine wealth does not chase the proud, it pursues the prepared. And preparation often looks like surrender. The Spirit speaks softly. You ran because you thought the blessing would crush you. But I would never send something to destroy what I designed to bless. The weight of wealth feels heavy only when you try to hold it without me. That is why this Sunday marks the turning point, not because circumstances shift overnight, but because revelation breaks the cycle of fear. You finally understand that divine wealth is not coming to take from you, it's coming through you. Beloved, the enemy has spent years convincing you that wealth is wicked, that prosperity equals pride. But in truth, poverty of purpose is the greater danger. A poor soul cannot fully glorify a generous God. The kingdom's resources are meant to travel through willing vessels, not to gather dust in the hands of the fearful. The Spirit is not asking you to love money. He is asking you to love stewardship. You are not the owner, you are the carrier of abundance. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the things you could build if you stopped doubting yourself. The families you could feed, the hearts you could heal, the visions you could fund. Divine wealth is chasing you because heaven knows what you would do with it. You have proven your loyalty in the small things. Now, the Father trusts you with greater things. You once prayed, "God, use me," not realizing that to be used means to be equipped. This is the equipping. This is the moment when God aligns what's in your spirit with what's in your hands. The flow begins when the fear ends. You no longer need to hide from favor, you need to hold it. As the ancient words recorded in Proverbs remind us, Book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 22. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no sorrow with it. Let that truth settle deep within you. Divine wealth does not arrive wrapped in anxiety or greed. It arrives wrapped in peace, carrying joy that outlasts seasons. Every counterfeit blessing demanded your energy. This one will refresh it. Every past offer that made you compromise was a rehearsal for this authentic abundance. God never needed you to chase opportunity. He needed you to chase obedience. And in doing so, opportunity would chase you. You are beginning to see it clearly now. The running was never about fear of failure, it was fear of fulfillment. You knew that once you accepted your calling, everything would change, and it will. But change does not mean chaos, it means alignment. When your heart beats in sync with divine timing, wealth cannot miss you. Every closed door, every delayed answer, every lonely season was simply positioning you for recognition. The blessing that chased you through storms is now standing right behind you, waiting for you to stop long enough to turn around. You stand on holy ground now, not of soil but of surrender. Heaven has stopped your feet so that your eyes may open. You are realizing that all the years you thought you were behind were actually years heaven was ahead, preparing the path, building the bridge, teaching you to walk with humility so you could carry abundance without losing peace. And now, the chase ends. The alignment begins. You are ready to stop running. You are ready to receive. Chosen one, something within you begins to stir. You have stopped running, but your heart is still learning how to rest. The silence after surrender feels both beautiful and terrifying. You are standing in the space between what you released and what you are about to receive. And in that space, God begins to speak with unmistakable clarity. You cannot receive divine wealth with the same mindset that once resisted it. The transformation must happen inwardly before the outward flow begins. For years, you prayed for blessings yet doubted when they came near. You asked for increase but secretly feared being seen. You wanted favor, yet hid when doors opened too wide. This was never hypocrisy, it was protection. Your soul wanted to guard itself from disappointment. But now that instinct must yield to faith. The walls that once kept you safe are now keeping you small. And heaven is saying, it's time to outgrow your fears. You see, divine wealth does not simply enter your life. It first enters your mind. God begins by shifting your thoughts, teaching you to think like a vessel, not a victim. You were never meant to wonder, can I handle this, but rather to declare, with God, I can steward this. The moment you change your language, heaven changes your atmosphere. The universe responds to alignment, and when your spirit agrees with divine purpose, abundance follows naturally. Beloved, remember how many times you almost quit. When prayers seemed unanswered and effort felt wasted, yet even in those moments, heaven was taking notes of your faithfulness. Every act of obedience, every small yes built the foundation for what's arriving now. You endured seasons that broke others because you were designed to break barriers. And now, divine wealth finds you unshaken, matured by fire, ready for responsibility. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, Book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." This is the divine order: seek, then receive, obey, then overflow. When your pursuit shifts from possessions to purpose, heaven releases provision without struggle. Divine wealth is not a reward for striving, it's a response to surrender. The Father does not bless you to make you comfortable. He blesses you to make you capable. Every resource that comes your way now has an assignment attached to it. The question is no longer, will I be blessed, but how will I bless others through this? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing before a door, massive, radiant, inscribed with your name. The door does not open with effort, it opens with understanding. The key is revelation, and the lock is fear. Each time you choose faith over doubt, the hinges move, and when you finally trust that divine wealth is part of your purpose, not a distraction from it, the door swings wide open. You begin to realize that your calling was never meant to exist apart from abundance. Scarcity cannot sustain vision. God is not glorified by lack. He is glorified by stewardship. You are stepping into a time where ideas will generate increase, where peace will attract partnerships, where your name will open doors you never knocked on. And it will not be because of manipulation or striving, it will be because heaven endorsed your obedience. But before the flood of blessings begins, there is a divine invitation: speak agreement aloud. Words are the currency of heaven, and your declaration carries authority. Right now, wherever you are, the Spirit says, open your mouth and affirm your readiness. So type this simple phrase in the comments: I am ready. When you do, it is more than just words, it's a spiritual activation. You are declaring before heaven and earth that you are no longer hiding from favor. You are giving permission for divine wealth to locate you fully, freely, and fearlessly. You are saying, I will not sabotage what God is sending. I will not downplay what heaven is releasing. I am ready to receive and ready to steward. Let this confession echo in your heart as you move through the rest of this day. For every time you type or whisper, I am ready, heaven adjusts something in your favor. Opportunities shift closer. People remember your name, and divine timing accelerates. You will begin to notice synchronicities, open doors, and unexpected favor. That's not random, that's response. It's heaven acknowledging your declaration and saying, finally, you believe, chosen one. This is your moment of alignment. The season of running is over. The season of readiness has begun. Divine wealth is not chasing a version of you that no longer exists. It's chasing the you that stands in faith right now. Lift your head high, breathe deep, and know this truth: the same God who gave the vision will supply the provision. You were never behind. You were simply being prepared for this very hour. And now it begins. You feel it now, the gentle unraveling of old beliefs, the quiet collapsing of walls you built to survive. For years, lack became familiar, and scarcity felt safe because it expected nothing of you. But now, as divine wealth draws near, you can no longer hide behind excuses or fear. You stand before the mirror of heaven, and for the first time, you see yourself not as fragile or forgotten, but as chosen, crafted to carry greatness without breaking under its weight. The Lord begins to reveal how deeply the poverty mindset has been woven into your thinking. You were taught to feel guilty for wanting more, as though ambition was rebellion. You heard people equate abundance with arrogance and humility with struggle. But heaven is dismantling that lie. Poverty is not piety. It is not holy to be empty when God created you to overflow. Divine wealth is not the opposite of humility. It is the expression of heaven's generosity through human hands. The Spirit whispers to your heart. You cannot glorify a generous God while believing He wants you to lack. Every time you resisted blessing out of guilt, you dishonored the one who delights in giving. You thought you were being modest, but what you were really doing was mistrusting God's intentions. He does not bless you to make you dependent on things, but to make you dependable with things. And now, He is breaking every thought pattern that chained you to survival when you were created for stewardship. You remember the moments when blessings slipped through your fingers because you could not believe they were meant for you. The opportunities you declined, the ideas you buried, the compliments you brushed off, all because somewhere deep inside, you felt unworthy. But divine wealth does not respond to worthiness, it responds to willingness. God never asked you to earn His favor, He asked you to receive it. And this is the lesson your soul must learn before the next wave arrives. You cannot hold what you fear, hold what you, as the Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That verse was never meant to be quoted as comfort alone. It was meant to be lived as conviction. Prosperity, hope, and future are not distant ideas, they are divine intentions. The Father's plans are not vague or delayed, they are specific and active, written with your name in them. When God says prosper, He means wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. He desires that your soul prospers first, so that every other area of your life can follow. Take a breath. Chosen one. The renewing of your mind is not punishment, it is preparation. You cannot walk in abundance with the language of scarcity still on your lips. You must stop saying, I can't afford that. Or maybe one day. Those words are contracts with limitation. Instead, start speaking in alignment. If God calls me to it, He will provide for it. That is not arrogance, it is agreement. It's the language of those who understand divine partnership. You are not meant to beg from heaven, you are meant to collaborate with it. Divine wealth flows through purpose, not pressure. The moment you stop striving to earn God's approval, you start walking in His provision. When you align with His plans, resources become obedient to you. Doors open not because you force them, but because you carry the authority of divine timing. The currency of this kingdom is not manipulation, it's faith. Look back on your journey and see how every season of lack taught you to value what abundance will bring. Scarcity showed you discipline. Delay taught you discernment. Disappointment built your dependence. Nothing was wasted. The same God who allowed the wilderness is now leading you into the land of promise. You are crossing over, not just financially, but mentally. You are beginning to understand that divine wealth is not about ownership. It's about overflow. You will never hoard what God gives, because you now understand the purpose behind it. The flow will not stop at you, it will move through you. That's why the enemy tried to keep you in fear for so long. He knew that once you were free from the poverty mindset, you would become dangerous to darkness. This Sunday, as divine wealth continues to chase you, remember it is not a chase of desperation, it's a pursuit of destiny. Heaven is not trying to bribe you, it's trying to trust you. God is looking for hands that will carry blessing without pride, hearts that will multiply goodness without greed, and souls that will reflect His abundance without distortion. Chosen one, Your preparation season is ending. The renewing of your mind is almost complete. Stand tall. You are not a beggar in the kingdom, you are a builder. You are not merely surviving, you are stewarding. Divine wealth is not coming to change who you are. It's coming to reveal who you've always been. The morning light breaks through your window like a quiet promise. You feel its warmth before you open your eyes, a subtle reminder that heaven's generosity is not something you have to chase. It arrives like sunlight, consistent and undeserved, touching everything that stands still long enough to receive it. You realize now that divine wealth has always been like that light, present, patient, waiting for you to stop running and simply let it in. There is a sacred rhythm to abundance, a divine melody that hums beneath every act of faith. You can feel it in your chest as you breathe. It says, "Give, and you shall receive. Trust, and you shall see." The same God who pours out blessings also invites partnership. Heaven does not move through magic. It moves through willing vessels, through hearts that understand the beauty of participation. You remember the woman in Scripture who poured her last jar of oil. She didn't give because she had plenty. She gave because she trusted the source. That single act of faith multiplied her provision. Divine wealth always multiplies through movement. It never stagnates. It circulates. What you release in obedience returns as overflow. That's the mystery of the kingdom. Nothing you give from love ever leaves your life. It simply changes form. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Luke, Book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 38, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." You have spent years waiting for the miracle, but sometimes the miracle is waiting for your movement. You say, "Lord, bless me," and heaven replies, "Take the step," because the blessing is already written. It just needs your participation to be activated. The divine flow of wealth does not favor spectators. It responds to sowers. And you, chosen one, are standing at that sacred threshold where belief must become action. Think of your life like a garden. The seeds you plant, acts of kindness, words of faith, offerings given from the heart, are never wasted. Some grow quickly, others sleep beneath the soil until the right season, but all are seen. Heaven waters every seed with precision. Even now, God is stirring hearts across the earth to pour back into you, just as you pour into others. The soil of generosity is always fertile, and what you sow in obedience becomes fruit for generations. There's a reason the Spirit urges you to stay connected, to like, to share, to subscribe, not for numbers or recognition, but because connection sustains the flow. When you share, you are scattering seed. Someone you'll never meet may find hope through your act of sharing. When you subscribe, you're saying, "I choose to remain in this river of revelation." You are building a circle of faith where light keeps expanding. And yes, when you choose to give, when you donate as led by the Spirit, it is not payment. It is partnership. You are not funding a voice. You are fueling a mission. Every seed sown into this message becomes light in another heart, another home, another soul awakening to its calling. You are part of the story heaven is writing across the earth. You are helping divine wealth flow through hands that heal, speak, and serve. Imagine a river that never stops because it keeps being poured into. That is what you are creating when you give, not scarcity, but sustainability. Each act of generosity ensures the voice of hope continues to reach those who still sit in silence. Your giving is not about amount, it's about alignment. Even the smallest seed carries eternal consequence when planted in faith. Do not underestimate the power of small beginnings. A single share can reach someone moments away from giving up. A simple word of encouragement can turn despair into destiny. And your support, whatever form it takes, can become the key that unlocks another person's purpose. This is how divine wealth moves like wind, invisible yet unstoppable, guided by hearts that dare to care. Beloved chosen one, let your generosity become an echo of God's own heart. You are not giving to gain. You are giving because you have already received. You are not serving out of pressure. You are serving out of gratitude. The same hand that blesses you asks only that you remain open, never clenched, never closed, for in the kingdom, the open hand never runs empty. So, as this word reaches your spirit, let it take root. Like the morning sun touching every corner of your room, let divine wealth move freely through you. Like rivers that refuse to dry up, keep the flow alive through your faith, your words, your sharing, your giving. This is how you stay in rhythm with heaven. And remember this truth: what you pour out in love, God always returns in overflow. Chosen one, you can feel it. The atmosphere around you is different now. The words that once felt distant have started to come alive. Every breath feels charged with new expectancy, as if heaven itself is watching, waiting for your next response. You are no longer running from divine wealth. Now you are learning to walk beside it. This is the season of recognition, when what has been chasing you finally catches up and begins to reveal its purpose. The Spirit whispers, you are not being rewarded, you are being reminded. Divine wealth is not a gift to make you proud. It is a signal that you have been faithful in the unseen. Every tear, every test, every silent endurance was a deposit in heaven's bank. And now, heaven pays back with interest. The return is not just in finances, it's in wisdom, peace, and opportunities that multiply your impact. Look closely at your journey. You will see how divine provision has always been present, disguised as lessons, disguised as people, disguised as unexpected moments of grace. Sometimes it was not a deposit into your hand, but into your heart. The strength you built through adversity is itself a currency of heaven. You have learned to hold pain and still praise. You have learned to be emptied and still expect more. That is why divine wealth is now drawn to you. It recognizes its own reflection in your endurance. But the Spirit is clear: this next level requires participation, not passivity. You cannot simply witness abundance. You must welcome it. You must speak alignment so that heaven can finalize what it has already released. Divine transactions require declaration. Heaven moves where faith is voiced. As the Apostle Paul wrote with clarity, Book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." This is the moment when you must not faint. Many grow tired just before the harvest, mistaking spiritual pressure for divine rejection. But pressure is proof that the promise is near. You have sown faithfully, and the field of your obedience is ripe. You are standing in the threshold between planting and reaping. Do not retreat now. Do not let fatigue make you forget how far you have come. Divine wealth is not just chasing you, it is circling you. It hovers like rain-laden clouds waiting for a word, for a sound, for an act of agreement. Your comment, your declaration, your yes, it's more than symbolic. It's prophetic. Heaven responds to it. It's not about visibility, it's about vibration. Your words echo through realms unseen. So now, chosen one, as a prophetic act of alignment, type this number in the comments: 8888. This is not superstition, this is symbolism. The number 8 represents new beginnings, and repeated 4 times it declares complete renewal: spiritual, emotional, financial, and generational. When you type it, You are not performing. You are prophesying. You are saying, I step into the new. I welcome heaven's order of abundance. I will not shrink from divine overflow. The moment you declare it, you open a gate that cannot be shut by human hands. Feel the shift even now. The atmosphere responds when faith moves through you. Doors you forgot about are swinging open. Emails you sent months ago are suddenly finding responses. People who once overlooked you begin to remember your name. This is divine recall, the moment heaven brings back everything that was once delayed. The floodgates of favor are opening because your spirit finally said yes, but remembers to chosen one. Abundance without purpose is chaos, as the Lord gives wealth to establish his covenant through you. You are not merely receiving for yourself, you are becoming a conduit through which many will be blessed. You will carry resources that repair what others abandoned. You will speak life into projects that were declared dead. The divine flow entering your life is strategic. It is meant to reveal God's faithfulness to a watching world. And in this sacred flow, do not let pride disguise itself as strength. Remain soft before heaven. Stay generous, even in small things. When divine wealth flows freely through your hands, it multiplies effortlessly. The Spirit's economy is built on circulation, not storage. The more you release, the more you are entrusted with. God cannot fill clenched fists. Look around, creation itself mirrors this rhythm. Rivers flow because they give what they receive. Trees flourish because they release their fruit in season. The sun shines endlessly because it spends its light every day. So too must you. You were created to carry divine wealth without hoarding it, to hold glory without gripping it. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The chase has ended. You have been found. Divine wealth is not running after you anymore. It is walking beside you, whispering strategy, revealing opportunity, and inviting obedience. All that remains is your declaration. Type the number, make the sound, and let heaven record your agreement. This Sunday, something shifts permanently. Divine wealth no longer needs to chase you. It recognizes you as its rightful steward. And from this moment forward, you will walk not in pursuit, but in possession. You wake before dawn, the air still heavy with silence. A soft awareness hums in your chest, the knowing that something unseen is moving on your behalf. It isn't the clamor of ambition or the anxiety of waiting. It's the still, unshakable calm that comes when heaven begins to reorder things in your favor. You sense that divine wealth is no longer a concept but a living presence, weaving itself through your days, touching each moment with quiet precision. The Spirit begins to show you what divine wealth truly looks like. It isn't always a sudden downpour. Sometimes it's a series of small rains that soften the ground for greater growth. It's the peace that lets you sleep while others worry. It's the clarity that silences confusion. It's favor that arrives through people you never expected and doors you never knocked on. Wealth from heaven doesn't shout, it whispers. And only the surrendered heart can hear it. You walk through your day differently now. The things that used to trouble you have lost their grip. Where there was fear, there is focus. Where there was striving, there is surrender. You are learning the rhythm of divine flow, to give without fear, to receive without guilt, and to trust without question. The very atmosphere around you feels altered, like a river that finally found its course after years of resistance. You are beginning to understand that prosperity is not about what you hold. It's about how freely heaven can move through you. There was a time when your prayers were desperate, when you begged for signs of favor, as if God needed convincing, but now you pray differently. You speak less and listen more. You no longer ask, "When will it happen?" but what do you want me to learn while it unfolds? That shift in your question is the evidence of maturity. Divine wealth flows toward wisdom, and wisdom comes to those who trust the timing of God. You think back to the moments when you almost gave up, when silence felt like rejection and stillness felt like punishment. Yet now you see what truly happened. God was teaching you to discern between motion and movement. Not every step forward is progress, not every pause is delay. The divine knows when to speed you up and when to still you long enough to strengthen your foundation. The waiting seasons were not wasted. They were calibration for acceleration. As David once wrote, Book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. This promise is more than poetic. It's a principle. When your delight aligns with His will, your desires become holy blueprints. Heaven begins to honor what you long for, because what you long for now reflects His nature. The more you delight in His presence, the more abundance becomes inevitable. Not because you chased it, but because you became a dwelling place where it feels at home. Chosen one, divine wealth does not dwell in chaos. It gravitates toward peace, order, and gratitude. Every time you choose calm over panic, thanksgiving over complaint, you make more room for heaven to work. Gratitude is the magnet that attracts supernatural increase. When your soul stays thankful, even for the little, the Father trusts you with the greater. There will be days when the flow feels quiet again, when provision comes in whispers rather than waves. But do not mistake subtlety for absence. Divine wealth often moves in silence to protect itself from premature exposure. Not every blessing announces itself. Some arrive gently, planting seeds that will grow into forests of favor long after you've forgotten you sowed them. Your task is to remain faithful, to keep watering with worship, to keep nurturing with obedience. You will soon find that the greatest wealth is peace, the kind that no currency can purchase. When you rest in divine timing, you realize that provision is never late. It arrives exactly when your character is ready to hold it. This is the sacred order of heaven: transformation before transaction. The external will always mirror the internal. When your soul prospers, your hands will follow. Look around your life now. The evidence of divine wealth is already present: the strength to endure, the people who encourage you, the insights that guide your steps, the faith that refuses to die. These are not small things, they are the foundation stones of abundance. Every one of them was crafted with intention, placed perfectly to support the future God is building through you. So breathe. You are standing inside a miracle that doesn't need to be announced. The chase has turned into companionship. Divine wealth no longer rushes to find you. It walks with you, steady and sure, matching your pace with grace. You are no longer praying for overflow, you are living in it, quietly, humbly, completely. And in this stillness, heaven smiles. The days move with new rhythm now. You wake each morning sensing that the world feels softer, as if heaven itself has wrapped around you like a garment. The fear that once clenched your heart has loosened its grip. You no longer question whether you are worthy of divine wealth. You simply walk in quiet agreement with what God already decided. This peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of understanding. You finally see the difference between surviving and being sustained. Divine wealth continues to follow you, but now it comes not as pursuit, but as partnership. It mirrors your pace, waits for your readiness, and adjusts its flow according to your obedience. You realize that true abundance is not measured in possessions, but in proximity, how close your heart stays to heaven's pulse. When your rhythm matches His, you never miss what is yours. The Spirit shows you that wealth is more than accumulation. It's administration. It is not what you have, it's how you handle what you've been given. Some people chase blessings and lose them because their hands were open to receive but closed to release. But you, chosen one, are learning the art of flow. You know now that divine wealth is like breath, it must move in and out freely, or it suffocates the soul. There were times you held on too tightly, gripping opportunities, relationships, even dreams that had served their season. But God, in mercy, allowed certain things to slip away so that your hands could be prepared for what was next. Every loss was a lesson in letting go. Every closed door was a redirection to better stewardship. Now you understand holding loosely is not weakness, it's wisdom. You walk through your day with sharper vision. You notice the subtle ways heaven provides a conversation that sparks an idea, a delay that saves you from error, a small connection that turns into provision. Divine wealth doesn't always appear wrapped in gold. Sometimes it comes disguised as timing. God's strategy is gentle but exact, and you are learning to trust it more with each passing moment. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, Book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." You read those words slowly, and something deep within you settles. Revelation does not rush, and neither should you. Divine wealth carries a divine timetable. If it hasn't arrived yet, it's not because heaven forgot, it's because heaven protects. Blessing released too early can become a burden. The waiting is not punishment, it's preservation. God aligns resources to your readiness, ensuring that when the floodgates open, you will not drown in abundance but swim in purpose. You think back on your earlier years, the days of restlessness and striving. You chased opportunities that drained you, connections that distracted you, plans that promised more than they delivered. But now, you look back without regret. Each failed pursuit taught you what divine wealth is not. It is not a prize, it's a presence. It's not earned through exhaustion, it's attracted through alignment. There's a quiet authority in your steps now. You no longer measure success by speed, but by substance. You no longer envy what others hold because you know that everything meant for you will arrive in perfect sequence. You've become fluent in heaven's timing. You know how to wait without worry, to prepare without panic. That is wealth. The Spirit reminds you that every act of obedience is an investment. Every time you said yes when it was hard, every time you gave when it hurt, every time you trusted when logic said to quit, you deposited something into eternity's account. And now, interest is accumulating. The divine economy never loses track of sacrifice. Every hidden act of faith is being multiplied for a future moment of release. Chosen one, divine wealth has matured you. It has taught you to see beyond currency into covenant. You are not here to collect riches, you are here to circulate grace. When God blesses you, it's not to prove a point, it's to fulfill a purpose. You are a vessel of overflow designed to pour out hope, wisdom, and strength in every space you enter. And even as you rest tonight, divine wealth continues its work around you. It moves unseen, arranging conversations, shifting hearts, preparing opportunities. The same unseen hand that provided manna in the wilderness now arranges provision for your mission. You may not see it, but you will feel its effect. The rhythm of abundance continues, steady and sure. So sleep in peace, chosen one. The promise has not been forgotten. The revelation lingers, but it will not fail. In due time, what you have been faithful with will multiply, not by accident, but by divine appointment. You are walking into a future already written by the author of increase, and every step you take in faith makes heaven smile. The sun rises again, but this time its light feels different, gentler, purer, as though it carries secrets from heaven. You sense the shift in your spirit before you even move. The air feels charged with divine purpose, and you realize that you are standing in the middle of something holy, the fulfillment of what was once only whispered to your heart. Divine wealth has not only found you, it has begun to shape you. You no longer chase blessings, you become the blessing. You walk through the day with new confidence, not born of pride, but of clarity. Every step you take feels guided, every decision inspired. The same God who promised to supply your needs is now teaching you how to manage overflow with humility. It's not about what fills your hands, it's about what fills your heart. The more you release fear, the more freely the river of abundance flows. Divine wealth was never meant to be stored, it was meant to move. The Spirit begins to speak softly, teaching you how to sustain this new flow. Do not measure my generosity by the pace of your progress, the voice says. I bless according to obedience, not according to calendars. You realize how much peace that truth brings. You no longer need to compare your timeline with anyone else's. Divine wealth doesn't move in competition, it moves in confirmation. What's meant for you cannot be delayed by another's acceleration. The memories of your old battles flash through your mind, the nights you prayed for provision, the days you questioned your worth. And yet, every unanswered prayer was a setup for deeper revelation. God was not withholding, He was upgrading. You asked for supply, He built capacity. You sought comfort, He gave calling. Now you see that true wealth is not what you gather, but what God grows inside you while you wait. As the Spirit spoke through the Apostle James. Book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him. That crown, chosen one, is not made of gold, it is made of endurance. Every test refined you. Every delay disciplined you, and now, heaven crowns you not with luxury but with legacy. You are entrusted with favor because you proved faithful when no one saw your struggle. That is why divine wealth can rest safely in your hands. It knows your heart has been purified by perseverance. Yet there is something more heaven asks of you today, a confession, a small act of agreement that seals what has begun. It's not about display, it's about declaration. Heaven requires sound before manifestation. Type these words in the comments I receive now. When you type them, you are not performing a ritual, you are proclaiming a reality. You are saying, I will not postpone what heaven is ready to release. I am open, available, and aligned. Your words become keys, unlocking what silence kept sealed. This declaration signals to the unseen that you are no longer hesitating, you are stepping fully into what was promised. As you make that confession, the Spirit begins to remind you of all that divine wealth includes: peace that cannot be purchased, joy that cannot be stolen, and wisdom that cannot be counterfeited. You start to notice the flow in every area of your life: renewed creativity, restored relationships, divine opportunities emerging from unlikely places. Each blessing is a confirmation that the chase has ended and covenant has begun. You have entered the stage where your obedience itself becomes wealth. Every yes to God carries a harvest, and every act of faith opens new streams. The resources of heaven are not limited to currency. They come as connections, insights, ideas, and divine timing. You are realizing that wealth is not about ownership, but about orchestration. God positions you to manage miracles, to move resources toward redemption. You can feel heaven's rhythm pulsing through your days now. Conversations align effortlessly. Solutions appear where confusion once reigned. You wake with vision and sleep with peace. It's not that life has become perfect. It's that you have learned to see perfection in process. Divine wealth no longer startles you, it steadies you. And as you look around, you realize that this flow is meant to multiply. Every person you uplift, every seed of encouragement you plant, every word you release becomes part of heaven's strategy to spread abundance. You are not just living in blessing, you are carrying it, distributing it, and transforming every space you touch. So let these words echo in your spirit tonight. You have become the evidence of God's generosity. You are no longer running from wealth, you are walking in it, breathing in it, becoming one with its purpose. The light of favor follows you not because you chase it, but because you reflect it. The world will see your glow and call it success, but heaven will call it stewardship. And when you whisper again, "I receive now," the heavens nod in agreement because what was once promised has finally been embraced. Morning breaks again, and this time it feels as if the very light of heaven has stepped into your room. It doesn't knock, it simply arrives, filling every corner with warmth. You stand still, eyes half closed, and feel the gentle hum of divine movement around you. This is not ordinary air, it's expectation. Something is expanding in your life, something invisible but undeniable. The river of divine wealth has not dried, it has deepened. The surface looks still, but beneath it, currents of purpose are carrying blessings toward you. Divine wealth, you now understand, is a language. It speaks through every act of faith, through every whisper of obedience. It's not a random reward, it's heaven's reply to trust. You've learned that the most powerful moments are not when you ask for more, but when you recognize how much you already have. Gratitude has turned your heart into fertile soil, and heaven keeps planting new seeds there. Think of your journey like a lighthouse standing against the storm. Waves crash, winds roar, but the light never flickers. That is what your obedience has done. It has kept shining when others gave up. And because of that unwavering glow, countless lives are now guided toward their own safe shores. This is what divine wealth truly looks like, your light. Steady and sacrificial, leading others through darkness. There is something sacred about giving, not as transaction, but as transformation. When you release from your hand, God releases from His. It's the law of reflection. The ocean gives its mist, and the sky answers with rain. The sun spends itself daily, and yet it never runs out of fire. Every part of creation mirrors this principle of divine exchange. And so do you. Every act of generosity becomes a divine echo, resounding through unseen realms. What you release in love becomes wind beneath someone else's wings, lifting them when they could not rise on their own. Heaven takes notice of such moments not because of their size, but because of their sincerity. Giving changes both the giver and the receiver. It stretches your spirit to the size of God's compassion. The seed you plant today may bloom in a garden you never walk through. Yet heaven records every gesture, every offering, every whisper of compassion. The hand that opens in faith never stays empty for long. The divine economy works on trust. What leaves you for love will return multiplied in purpose. That is why every moment of giving is both prophecy and promise, sowing eternity into time. As the Spirit revealed through the writings of Paul, Book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 19, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." This is not a promise of luxury, it's a covenant of sufficiency. God's supply does not run according to markets or moods. His provision flows from glory, a source that cannot be depleted. When you give, you are not losing, you are aligning with that eternal source. You are saying, I trust the giver more than the gift. That is when true abundance begins. When you live with that trust, something shifts inside you. Fear begins to dissolve, and peace takes its place. You stop watching the clock and start watching miracles. You see provision appear like dew on morning grass, quiet, constant, faithful. Each day unfolds as evidence that heaven's storehouse never closes. True abundance is not noise or display, it's the steady heartbeat of divine faithfulness in motion. So today, as this word reaches your heart, let it do more than inspire, let it invite. When you like these messages, it is not just a click, it's a signal that your spirit resonates with truth. When you share, you are scattering light into corners you may never visit, letting someone else find what you have found. When you subscribe, you are planting yourself beside the river of revelation, choosing consistency over curiosity. And when you donate, you are pouring water back into the well that quenches others. Do not think of giving as losing. Think of it as breathing. You exhale generosity and inhale grace. The world of the generous grows wider, freer, more peaceful. Just as rivers widen by flowing, so will your life. Every seed you release becomes a bridge of hope for someone else. Your kindness builds what your money alone never could. Legacy. Maybe you wonder if what you have is too small to matter. But remember, heaven measures not by amount, but by alignment. The widow's coin shook eternity because it came from a surrendered heart. The boy's 5 loaves fed thousands because they were offered without hesitation. What you release, no matter the size, multiplies in ways you cannot imagine. God never forgets an offering born of love. Let your giving today be like rain falling on dry ground, quiet, unseen, yet life-changing. Let your support be the unseen spark that lights another candle in the night. You may never know who is healed, who is strengthened, who chooses to keep going because your act of generosity made it possible. That is divine wealth in motion, heaven's heart beating through human hands. And if you can do nothing else, carry this truth with you. Generosity keeps your spirit alive. To hold is to harden. To give is to grow. Your generosity, your engagement, your connection, all of it is worship in motion. So keep shining, lighthouse of heaven. Keep pouring, river of grace. Keep giving, vessel of divine wealth. Because when you do, you are not just sustaining a message, you are sustaining a movement. And in that sacred act of sharing, subscribing, and sowing, the same light you send out will find its way back to you, multiplied and overflowing. Night falls, but there is no heaviness in the dark. The sky seems alive, breathing softly above you, each star pulsing with a quiet rhythm that matches your heartbeat. You stand still beneath that vast expanse and realize this is what peace feels like. It's not the absence of challenges, it's the confidence that you are guided through them. You no longer measure your days by gain or loss, but by the depth of trust that now anchors your soul. The Spirit begins to reveal another dimension of divine wealth, one that cannot be stored in banks or counted by hands. It is the wealth of understanding, the revelation that your life itself is currency in heaven's plan. Every moment of surrender is an investment. Every word of encouragement you've spoken, every act of compassion you've shown, every time you chose forgiveness over resentment, these are treasures that moth and rust cannot touch. You begin to see your own life as a tapestry, threads of pain and triumph, of laughter and tears, of loss and redemption, are all woven together into something sacred. You realize that even the colors you once wished to remove are essential to the design. Divine wealth has been shaping you all along, not through possessions, but through perspective. What once looked like chaos now reveals pattern. What once felt like delay now looks like direction. The Spirit whispers, do not despise the process that produced your depth. The storms that nearly drowned you taught you to breathe underwater. The fire that scared you purified your vision. Every unanswered prayer carved space for wisdom. Divine wealth does not arrive wrapped in ease, it arrives wrapped in endurance. And now, you wear that endurance like a crown, invisible to the world, but radiant before heaven. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, Book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. You think about that verse, and suddenly the years that once felt wasted begin to shimmer with meaning. Nothing was random. Every encounter, every closed door, every divine delay, all of it was coordinated with precision. God wastes nothing. Even your mistakes became material for miracles. Even your detours led you to destiny. You realize that divine wealth was never waiting at the end of your journey. It was being gathered along the way. You sit in silence and begin to remember faces, moments, seasons, people who came and went like chapters in a book. Some taught you love, others taught you boundaries. Some left wounds that turned into wisdom. All of them contributed to your becoming. Divine wealth is not about accumulation, it's about awareness. When you finally see purpose in pain, you hold something more valuable than gold. You feel a wave of gratitude rise within you. Not the loud kind that shouts praise, but the quiet kind that brings tears to your eyes. Gratitude, you've learned, is the purest form of worship. It says, I trust you even when I don't understand you. That kind of gratitude invites heaven closer. It turns every breath into prayer, every step into worship. You no longer need to chase miracles because your very life has become one. Divine wealth has matured in you. It no longer dazzles you, it defines you. You walk through each day with the calm assurance that what is meant for you cannot miss you. You are not desperate anymore. You are deliberate. You are not waiting for signs, you are living as one. People will look at your peace and wonder what changed. But you will know the answer. Nothing outside you shifted. Something inside you finally surrendered. The Spirit continues to speak gently. You are not here to prove yourself, you are here to express me. Divine wealth is expression. It is heaven speaking through your hands, through your words, through your presence. The world measures success by how much you take. Heaven measures it by how much you transform. Every moment you choose grace over judgment, patience over frustration, compassion over indifference, you participate in divine economy. You trade what is temporary for what is eternal. You notice how your prayers have evolved. You no longer ask for what you want. You ask for alignment with what God wants. You trust His definition of good, even when it contradicts your plans. This is the ultimate wealth, the surrender that frees you from striving. You no longer fear losing anything because you understand now that nothing truly yours can be taken, only multiplied, only repurposed. The wind outside grows softer, carrying the scent of rain. You lift your face to the night sky and smile. Once you would have seen the coming rain as a storm. Now you recognize it as refreshing, a sign that heaven continues to water what you've sown. Divine wealth is like that. It may come disguised as clouds, but it always leaves growth in its wake. You whisper a quiet thank you, not just for what you have, but for who you have become. And somewhere unseen, heaven answers with peace. The air is heavy with presence tonight, not the kind that fills a room, but the kind that fills the soul. You sense something sacred stirring again. It's quiet, almost imperceptible, but you know it's real. Heaven moves gently when the heart is listening. And right now, your heart is wide open. The chase is over, the striving silenced, and now divine wealth is no longer coming toward you, it's flowing through you. You are the vessel, the bridge, the chosen channel. There's a sweetness to this stillness. You can feel the weight of promises fulfilled, even before they appear. This is the mystery of faith, believing before seeing, celebrating before receiving. Divine wealth doesn't need permission from the world to arrive. It only needs agreement from your spirit. And tonight, heaven is seeking that agreement once more, not through striving, but through declaration. The Spirit speaks softly. It is time to mark your covenant. You understand what this means. Throughout Scripture, every divine encounter required a response, a word, a gesture, an act of recognition. Abraham built an altar. David wrote a song. Mary said yes. Heaven always moves where acknowledgement is made. And now, the same Spirit asks you to do the same, not with labor, but with language, as was spoken in the sacred writings of Moses. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 12. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season, and to bless all the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. You read those words again and feel something ignite deep within you. This is not a verse of theory. It is a declaration of inheritance. The heavens are already open. The storehouse is already unlocked. The only thing heaven waits for is your verbal alignment, your declaration that says, yes, I receive what you promised. The rain is ready. The soil is waiting for your yes. So, chosen one, as a prophetic act of faith and agreement, type this number in the comments, 55555. This is not coincidence, nor superstition. The number 5 has always represented grace and repeated 4 times. It speaks of an unending cycle of divine favor and expansion. When you type it, you are not simply pressing keys. You are pressing into covenant. You are saying, Lord, let grace multiply in every corner of my life. You are announcing to heaven and to every delay that the flow has begun. As you make that declaration, the Spirit continues to reveal more. You are not only being blessed, you are being built. Divine wealth is shaping your character into something that can contain more glory. Every new level of favor requires deeper humility. Every new assignment demands stronger roots. You are being refined not to limit you, but to make you limitless in purpose. You think back to the years when you prayed for one open door. Now you realize that heaven was preparing you to become the door through which blessings flow to others. You were never meant to hold wealth. You were meant to host it. Every resource, every idea, every gift in your life is part of heaven's strategy to reach someone else. When divine wealth flows through you, it never stops with you. Look at your hands. Chosen one. The Spirit says, what you touch will multiply, not because of your skill, but because of your surrender. There's a sacred glow on everything you do now: work, creativity, compassion, conversation. The same anointing that rested on Joseph in Egypt rests on you. What others called coincidence, heaven calls covenant. You are not just living under favor, you are carrying it. Wherever you walk, environments shift. People feel peace when you enter. Circumstances begin to align when you speak. You've become a walking proof of divine order. And as you move through this season, remember this truth: divine wealth does not come to inflate your ego, it comes to expand your assignment. The Spirit reminds you that grace flows best through gratitude. So even now, whisper thanks not only for what you see, but for what is still unseen. Thank Him for the doors still in preparation, for the ideas not yet born, for the blessings that are on their way. Gratitude doesn't wait for manifestation, it invites it. The thankful heart becomes a magnet for miracles. As you sit in that gratitude, a peace descends over you. The noise of worry fades, the rhythm of grace takes over. You understand that divine wealth is not a reward for good behavior, it's a revelation of divine relationship. The Father is not blessing you to show off His power, He's blessing you to reveal His love. You were never chasing things, you were chasing understanding. And now that understanding has found you, type 555 and let heaven see your agreement. It's not just a number, it's a spiritual signature, a seal that says grace upon grace, favor without end. As you release that declaration, something begins to move in unseen places. Chains of limitation break, delays dissolve, the path ahead clears, the storehouse opens. Tonight, you are not merely hearing about divine wealth, you are standing inside it. The rain of blessing begins to fall softly, not to overwhelm, but to nourish. The harvest you've prayed for is rising quietly from the soil of your faith. Heaven has heard your yes, and it will echo through generations. The night fades slowly, as though the stars themselves are reluctant to leave. You watch the horizon lighten, soft gold spilling across the sky, and you realize this is what divine peace feels like: steady, patient, unhurried. There was a time when dawn made you anxious, a reminder that you had to face another day of striving. But now, it feels like an embrace. You rise knowing that the sun isn't something to chase, it's something that rises faithfully, just as divine wealth now rises within your life. You walk outside and breathe in the morning air. Every inhale feels sacred, every exhale a prayer of gratitude. You are learning that the miracle was never in the moment of breakthrough, but in the becoming that happened before it. Divine wealth is not a sudden flood, it's a steady river that formed quietly underground through years of endurance and faith. You no longer rush the process because you've learned that the process is the blessing. There's a whisper in your spirits, calm and clear. You have seen the beginning of favor, but not its fullness. The words linger in the air like music. You know they're true. God doesn't reveal everything at once. He reveals what your maturity can carry. Just as the sunrise reveals the world gradually, so does divine wealth unveil its layers. Every day brings a new revelation, a new reminder that you are walking inside a living promise. You recall the moments when you misunderstood silence as rejection, when you mistook delay for denial. But now, those memories no longer sting, they shine. You see them for what they were: protection. Divine wealth is never rushed because heaven moves with eternal timing. The same hand that opens doors knows when to close them. Some of your unanswered prayers were heaven's way of saying, wait, not yet. If the blessing had come too soon, it might have broken what it was meant to build. As the ancient words recorded in Proverbs still echo today. Book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. You read those words slowly, letting them settle into your soul. They remind you that the deepest form of wealth is trust itself. When you trust God fully, you stop negotiating with fear. You no longer measure divine favor by visible progress. You know that unseen movement is often the most powerful kind. Divine wealth is invisible before it's undeniable. It moves first in the spirit, then manifests in the world. The spirit reveals that what's happening now is bigger than provision, it's preparation for purpose. You are not just living blessed, you are living appointed. The same way a seed holds the blueprint of the tree. Your life carries the blueprint of legacy. Every experience, every connection, every revelation is preparing you to leave something eternal behind. Divine wealth is not meant to die with you. It's meant to outlive you. You start noticing how everything in nature reflects this truth. The fruit never eats itself. It gives of itself, scattering seeds into the earth. The river never hoards its water. It flows freely, sustaining everything along its path. Even the trees, when they shed their leaves, make way for new growth. Creation itself is generous, and through it, God teaches you how to be the same. True abundance never stops at possession. It continues through purpose. There is a holy stillness that follows these thoughts. You feel the peace of one who has stopped asking when and started asking how. How can I serve through this blessing? How can I reflect heaven's generosity in my daily life? This is the posture of divine maturity. You've moved beyond needing confirmation. Now you crave communion. You no longer live for the miracle, you live from it. The Spirit whispers again, tender yet certain, you are the evidence of answered prayers you never heard. Somewhere, someone prayed for hope, and you became the answer. Someone cried for provision, and your obedience unlocked it. You realize that divine wealth has made you more than blessed, it has made you useful. And that is the highest honor heaven can give. The morning light now dances across your path, casting patterns that look almost like symbols, reminders that even ordinary moments carry divine fingerprints. You walk forward slowly, aware that your life has become a message. You are not chasing signs anymore. You are one. Every step you take says to the world, God is faithful. Every word you speak drips with the fragrance of grace. Every breath declares that you have seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And so you move, not hurried, not hesitant, but certain that divine wealth has become part of your DNA, certain that every day ahead will carry the echo of this truth. You were chosen not just to receive abundance, but to reveal it. Evening settles quietly across the horizon. The sky fades from gold to violet. And in that slow transition, you sense something sacred, the same rhythm that has followed you since the day divine wealth first found you. It no longer feels like pursuit or surprise. It feels like partnership. You have learned to walk in step with the unseen, to trust that what flows from heaven cannot be lost on earth. The night no longer intimidates you. It feels like rest, like trust wrapped in silence. You sit by the window watching the final streaks of daylight disappear. Once, this hour filled you with questions. You used to wonder if the darkness meant delay, if silence meant distance. But now you know better. The dark is not absence, it's incubation. Seeds don't sprout in sunlight alone. They need the unseen work of darkness. Likewise, divine wealth is nurtured in seasons when you can't see its growth. The waiting, you've realized, was never wasted time, it was sacred time. You think about the journey that brought you here. Every twist and turn, every hidden mercy, every moment that felt like the end but became a beginning. There's a beauty to it now, a quiet logic that could only be divine. You see how every disappointment was a door, every loss a lesson, every silence a seed. Divine wealth has become more than blessing. It has become understanding. You no longer crave more, you crave meaning. You want to see how everything connects, how every act of faith builds something eternal. The Spirit stirs in your heart again. Gentle and wise, you are walking through the fulfillment of promises, but do not stop walking. Divine wealth is not a destination. It is a journey that evolves as you do. It's the movement of heaven through the hands of the faithful. Each day, you are entrusted with new opportunities to multiply what has been given. And this multiplication is not just material, it's spiritual. Peace multiplies when you share it. Hope multiplies when you speak it. Love multiplies when you live it. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John. Book of John, chapter 15, verse 8. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. You close your eyes and let those words soak through your spirit, bearing fruit that is the true expression of divine wealth. It's not about display, but about demonstration. The fruit of your obedience is what feeds others. The fruit of your faith is what reveals God to the world. You were never called to accumulate, you were called to cultivate. And now, the evidence of that calling surrounds you. Your peace feeds others. Your faith anchors others. Your light warms those who have grown cold. You realize how different you have become. Once you spoke prayers filled with worry, now you speak from rest. Once you waited for signs, now your life has become one. Once you doubted your worth, now you understand that you were never an afterthought, you were always an assignment. Divine wealth didn't come to change who you are, it came to reveal who you have always been. There is a softness to your gratitude now. You thank God, not because you finally have everything, but because you finally understand everything. You see how divine wealth is not about addition, but transformation. It changes how you see the world, how you love people, how you carry peace. Even your prayers have changed. They are shorter now, simpler, filled not with requests but with reverence. You say, "Thank you more than give me." That shift is wealth in itself. You feel heaven smiling at your quiet maturity. You are no longer asking, "What will I receive?" but "What can I release?" That is the mark of the chosen, the moment they stop collecting and start creating. Stop clinging and start contributing. Divine wealth trusts you because you have proven you will not hoard what heaven gives. You have learned that what you keep decays, but what you give becomes eternal. Outside, a soft wind stirs the trees. The branches sway as if in silent worship, their rhythm matching your heartbeat. You feel the peace of one who has finally arrived not at a place, but at a posture. You rest in divine alignment, aware that even when you sleep, the Spirit continues to move. There's no more panic, no more proving. You understand that heaven doesn't measure progress in speed, but in surrender. The stars begin to appear again, each one glimmering like a reminder that light never truly disappears. It only hides until it's seen again. You smile at the thought. Divine wealth is the same way, sometimes hidden, always present, always faithful. You close your eyes and whisper a final prayer, not for more, but for depth, for the wisdom to remain a good steward of everything entrusted to you. And as night deepens, you feel heaven's peace wrap around you once more. Not the peace of arrival, but of abiding. The journey continues, but you are ready for it. You are no longer afraid of the dark. You have learned that it, too, is holy. The dawn returns, painting the sky with colors so delicate they seem almost whispered. Gold blends into rose, and rose into pale blue, like heaven's own brushstroke across the horizon. You stand there, watching light chase away shadow, and realize that this is what divine wealth feels like. It doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds gradually, gracefully, the way morning conquers night without a battle. You breathe it in, this beauty, this quiet abundance that fills every corner of your being. You remember when light like this used to make you ache, when you saw beauty and felt only distance from it. Back then, you were still learning that God's goodness wasn't for others only. But now, as the sun touches your skin, you finally believe that divine wealth includes you. You no longer stand outside the promise, peering in. You are living inside the glow of fulfillment. There's something holy about gratitude that finds you before words do. You feel it in your chest, a quiet ache, a swelling peace. Divine wealth is not simply provision, it's presence. It's the nearness of God in everything ordinary. The way He meets you in your daily steps, in the smallest acts of faithfulness. The miracle isn't just that you were blessed, it's that you became a blessing. And as you look around, you realize you are not meant to hold this light alone. Light that stays contained soon fades. Light that's shared grows brighter. The message that transformed you can now flow through you. You understand now why you were asked to stay connected, to like, to share, to subscribe. It was never about a platform, it was about participation. When you share what feeds you, you multiply its reach. Someone, somewhere, is still sitting in the darkness you once knew. And maybe your act of sharing will be the sunrise they've been waiting for. You remember the parable of the lamp. No one lights a candle only to hide it beneath a bowl. You were never meant to keep quiet about the goodness of God in your life. When you share the light, you become part of heaven's plan to illuminate others. The same way rivers flow to the sea, grace must keep moving. You are not just a recipient, you are a current of divine generosity. As was spoken in the Gospel of Luke, Book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48. From everyone who has been given much, and much will be demanded, and from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. You pause, letting those words settle in your spirit. They do not sound heavy, they sound holy. You realize that responsibility is the highest compliment heaven can give. To be entrusted with blessing is to be trusted with influence. To be trusted with influence is to be called into impact. The overflow that once seemed like luxury now feels like purpose. That is why generosity matters not out of duty, but out of delight. When you give, when you support, when you sow into this flow of messages, you are not simply helping a voice, you are fueling a vision. You are ensuring that light keeps moving into places where silence once ruled. Every act of giving becomes a spark in someone else's darkness. You are part of something eternal. When you donate, you are not just transferring money, you are transferring meaning. You are saying, I believe in this light. I believe others deserve to find it, too. Heaven takes note of that. Divine wealth circulates where hearts stay open. You become the vessel that God uses to answer prayers you'll never hear, to reach souls you'll never meet. That is the sacred power of generosity. It transcends time and distance. Like a tree that never keeps its fruit, you were designed to feed others with what you've received. Every share becomes a seed. Every comment a spark, every act of generosity a ripple in eternity's ocean. Divine wealth moves best when handled with open hands and a willing heart. And yes, take a moment to comment below. Share what this message stirred in you. Words are seeds too. Your reflection may be the water someone else needs. You are not just part of a conversation, you are part of a movement of grace. So as you watch the light rise higher, remember this truth: when you keep the flow alive through giving, through sharing, through simple obedience, you mirror heaven's own rhythm. God doesn't just give once, He gives continuously. The sun rises daily, the tides move endlessly, grace renews relentlessly. And as long as you stay part of that rhythm, your life will never run dry. Divine wealth is not about accumulation, it's about circulation. The more freely it moves, the stronger it becomes. The more you give, the more you grow, the more you bless, the brighter you shine. You stand now beneath the full light of morning, arms open, heart lifted. This is divine partnership, heaven giving through you. And as the light warms your face, you whisper your final prayer for the day. Let my life keep shining. The day stretches long and slow, the kind of day that seems to breathe rather than move. You sense it even before you speak a word. Peace has settled into your bones. The rhythm of your life no longer feels rushed or random. It flows with quiet purpose. You are no longer reaching outward for validation or scrambling for signs of favor. Everything around you feels aligned, grounded, complete. This is what divine wealth looks like. When it matures, it becomes serenity. You realize now that divine wealth was never only about provision or opportunity. It was about transformation. What God truly desired was not to fill your hands, but to form your heart. Every gift He gave, every test He allowed, every delay He ordained, all of it was shaping you for stewardship. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. You could not carry abundance until your spirit learned humility, patience, and faith that doesn't collapse under pressure. The Spirit begins to unfold deeper revelation before you, whispering softly. You are no longer being taught how to receive, you are being trained to reign. Those words resound inside you. You understand that to reign does not mean to dominate. It means to take responsibility for what has been entrusted to you. Divine wealth has crowned you with influence, and now heaven expects you to use it wisely. You were not chosen to sit on a throne of comfort, but to build altars of purpose. You think back to the times you questioned your path. There were moments when obedience felt like loss, when you gave, forgave, or waited, and it seemed no return would come. But now you see the pattern. Every act of surrender carved space for greater blessing. What you released in faith became room for God's abundance to dwell. The divine exchange was always happening, even when unseen. As the voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. You breathe those words like oxygen. They remind you that your stillness was never inactivity. It was faith in motion. Every time you resisted the urge to strive, you were testifying that God was enough. That stillness became your strategy. It allowed heaven to move where your hands could not reach. The battles you thought you lost were victories disguised as rest. Divine wealth was not merely following you. It was fighting for you. You now walk through life differently. You notice more, rush less. You speak softly, listen deeply, and act deliberately. There is no more panic about provision because you have seen how faithfully heaven provides. You no longer worry about timing because you've learned that the clock of man cannot dictate the calendar of God. Every moment unfolds exactly as it should. What used to frustrate you now fascinates you. You are watching the choreography of divine timing, and you trust every step. People may see the calm on your face and assume you have never struggled. They cannot see the fire that refined you or the storms that taught you to stand. But you carry no bitterness for what was hard. You see now that difficulty was the doorway to discernment. Without those valleys, you would not have recognized the value of peace. Without those nights of lack, you would not have learned the language of sufficiency. Divine wealth has become your teacher as much as your treasure. There is a sacred dignity in simplicity now. You no longer crave excess, because you have learned that abundance is not measured in accumulation, but in awareness. Every sip of water, every breath of clean air, every conversation that brings truth, these are riches that never fade. You see wealth in wisdom, luxury in laughter, gold in grace. Heaven's currency is peace, and you are spending it freely. You begin to see the future not as an unknown threat, but as a familiar friend. The same God who carried you through storms will guide you into sunrise. You feel no need to plan every detail. Your faith has become your roadmap. The steps may be hidden, but the destination is certain. Wherever divine wealth leads, you will follow. As evening draws near, you sit quietly, feeling the weight of gratitude in your chest. You think of all that has changed not just around you, but within you. The fear that once dictated your decisions has been replaced by faith that directs your destiny. You no longer live in reaction. You live in revelation. Divine wealth has rewritten your story, replacing striving with surrender and scarcity with sacred trust. You look up at the sky as it shifts from gold to indigo. The stars begin to pierce the darkness again, each one like a reminder that light never truly leaves. You whisper a thank you, not loud, not dramatic, but deep. Because gratitude has become your native language now. Everything in you rests in the certainty that you are held, provided for, and chosen. The chase is long over. The lesson is complete. You have learned how to walk with divine wealth not as a pursuer, not as a beggar, but as a partner in purpose. The world may still measure success by what can be counted, but you now measure it by what cannot be taken. And in this sacred stillness, heaven smiles because you have become what divine wealth was sent to create: a vessel of peace, a reflection of providence, and a living testimony that those who trust in God never walk in lack. The world seems quieter now. Even the wind moves gently, as though aware that something eternal has settled within you. You stand at the close of this long journey, not with exhaustion, but with reverence. What began as pursuit has become presence. You have crossed from wondering if divine wealth was real to knowing it in your bones. It no longer feels like a gift you are trying to grasp. It feels like the air you breathe. You have become one with it. You think back to where this began: the restlessness, the prayers whispered through tears, the hunger for confirmation that heaven had not forgotten you. You see that person now, still you, yet changed forever. The struggle was never punishment. It was refinement. You were not being denied, you were being deepened. Divine wealth was not chasing you to give you things. It was chasing you to remind you of who you already were. You remember the first time you dared to believe that you were chosen. That quiet moment when heaven whispered, "You are mine," and something inside you broke open. Every trial since then was an echo of that truth, reminding you to trust the voice even when you couldn't trace the hand. The path was winding, sometimes lonely, but it led you here to understanding, to peace, to purpose. Now, when you think of wealth, it no longer carries the weight of possessions. It carries the fragrance of perspective. Divine wealth has become the awareness that God's hand is in everything, every conversation, every sunrise, every closed door that turned into a redirection. You are no longer afraid of losing because you finally understand that you cannot lose what was never meant to leave you. What is anchored in heaven can never be taken by earth. The Spirit speaks again, softly yet firmly. You are not at the end. You are at the unveiling. You realize that this entire journey has been a revealing, not of blessings, but of identity. Divine wealth was never outside you. It was buried deep within, waiting for faith to unearth it. You were always meant to carry the atmosphere of abundance. Now, you finally do. As the prophet David once wrote in the sacred Psalms, Book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 11, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." You read those words again and they feel like home. The path of life, it's what you've been walking all along. Each step, even the ones that stumbled, was leading you toward the joy that no circumstance can steal. This joy is not loud or fleeting. It's steady, anchored in eternity. It hums quietly inside you like the heartbeat of heaven itself. You begin to see that divine wealth was never about arrival, it was always about alignment. To be wealthy in God's eyes is to be unshakably centered in His will. It means walking with open hands and an unburdened soul, knowing that what flows through you will always return in greater measure. You live lighter now, freer, no longer clinging to outcomes or timelines. You've learned the beauty of letting go, of trusting God's rhythm more than your reasoning. The faces of those you've touched flash through your memory. You didn't always realize it, but your obedience became someone else's miracle. Your endurance became someone else's strength. Every moment you refused to quit, light spread a little farther. That, too, is divine wealth, the kind that multiplies through unseen impact. The blessings you carry are no longer just yours. They ripple outward, shaping stories you may never hear this side of eternity. You gaze at the world around you, the trees swaying, the distant hum of life, the endless sky above, and it all feels alive with purpose. Everything speaks now. Every sound, every color, every breath seems to declare, you are exactly where you were meant to be. The world hasn't changed, but your eyes have. What once looked ordinary now glows with divinity. And so, you lift your hands not in desperation but in gratitude. This is not the end of the journey. It is the merging of heaven's promise and earth's proof. Divine wealth has completed its work in you. It has transformed fear into faith, striving into stillness, emptiness into overflow. You are no longer the one being chased. You are the evidence that heaven wins. The day begins to fade again, and you watch the sky soften into twilight. The same sun that rose with promise now sets with peace. You realize it has been the same light all along, only your eyes have changed. You whisper a final truth, one that carries no demand, no plea, only certainty: I am whole. Only. And somewhere unseen, heaven answers, yes, you are. Beloved, chosen one. If you are reading these final words, it means you have walked through every revelation, every whisper, every divine reminder. You didn't just read a message, you lived one. Each word has been a mirror, reflecting who you truly are, a vessel of light, a carrier of divine wealth, a living testimony of heaven's faithfulness on earth. Now the journey comes full circle. The chase has ended, the striving has ceased, and what remains is peace, a peace that surpasses understanding and invites you to share it with others. You have been poured into so that you might pour into the world. The same way sunlight spreads without asking permission, let your light do the same. When you like and share this message, you're not promoting words, you're extending light. You're carrying hope into places algorithms cannot reach. You're becoming a modern messenger of grace, reminding others that divine wealth is real, that faith still works, that heaven still speaks. Take a moment to leave your reflection below. Comment what stirred you, what awakened you, what shifted inside you. Your words are more than feedback, they are seeds of testimony. Someone will read your comment at their breaking point and find strength to stand again. That is how heaven multiplies impact. And if this flow has spoken life to you, stay connected, subscribe, not just for more words, but for continued transformation. Every message that follows is another step in this divine rhythm. Another reminder that you are chosen, seen, and sustained. You began this journey being chased by divine wealth. You finish it realizing you have become its keeper. Walk boldly in that truth, and let your life continue to echo heaven's heartbeat.